fun meeting today. Kind of a special one. We're excited for it.
Michelle Anderson.
Here.
Brian Bosma.
Here.
Christine Brown-Gallagher, sorry.
Here.
She's here.
That's
virtually.
all right. Thank you.
Melissa Dedman.
Here.
Kaylin is not here. Lauren Rodriguez. Not here.
Here.
Oh, here. Fabulous. This is just what I do all day, guys. This is Jabari Goodrich. Not here. Victoria Mason. Virtual.
I'm here.
Virtual. Landon Miller is here virtually. Chris Morgan, I believe, is absent. Okay. Manny Ortiz.
Here.
Ralph Rodriguez.
Here.
Julia Rogers is here. Dave Shintani. Not here. David Taylor.
Here.
And Sarah Gobsell.
Here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. It looks like we have enough for a quorum there. Good to see this Monday afternoon. As I mentioned, we have one item to discuss, but before we get to all the other stuff here, we'd like to turn it over to Sarah for item 201. Welcome to the meeting, but before we do that, any public comments, Brittany?
None at this time.
None at this time. So with that, 201, I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Sarah Gobs-Hill, for today's welcome.
Okay, excellent. I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming again in such a short amount of time. I really do appreciate your time. This should be a fairly quick meeting. We'll be hearing a story or two of impact about the middle school engagement program before we decide on distributing funding. You've received, the packet with additional information, and we'll give time if there are any questions regarding that. And of course, we have Dr. Lamarca, who is the Chief of Student and Family Support here in the audience today. So if there are any questions, he's truly the expert in this space, and so we feel really lucky to have him join us. I also want to let you know that the merger for EA and Washoe Education Foundation will be on the Board of Trustees consent agenda tomorrow, which is a positive development. As you guys remember, we made a formal recommendation in the last meeting for that to happen. And finally, I just want to let everyone know that our next board meeting is on April 21st, 2025. I think it's updated on this one. And I know I say this every time, but really thank you so much for your time. And with that, we'll jump in.
And that's why we had to squeeze today in. April 21st is 2 entire months from now. All right, Sarah, thank you. Okay, up next is going to be agenda item 202. This is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was on January 27th. And so for this, we'll need a motion to approve the minutes, a second, and then a vote. Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. Melissa.
All right, so Lauren with the motion and Melissa Dedman for the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any oppositions? All right. The minutes have been approved. And with that, we'll go into the meat of our discussion today. Agenda item 203, presentation and possible action to approve the distribution of proceeds from Enabling to Peer Imagination through Educational Alliance Caring for Classroom fundraising efforts, including the Washoe County School District Middle School Engagement Program, supplies, and student engagement activities. So Sarah, I'll tee this one up for you, and we'll sit back, relax, and enjoy this presentation.
Excellent. So you guys received a packet and a slide deck that Brittany and I tried to put together after really gathering the information about the middle school engagement program that we thought would be really helpful for you guys to see today. And so essentially just really trying to show that there are multiple things happening at the district to try to improve chronic absenteeism. And there's a special attention in the middle school age because we know that it's an important age to try to catch them before they fall too far behind. And part of that work is the middle school engagement program. It's the extension of communities and schools, which you see throughout the schools, throughout our title schools, and then a support of additional activities. So On the second page of, well, on the packet, I'm trying to see if it's probably page 6, but I just put out a grid that I thought would be really helpful to walk everyone through. Just what are the middle schools of focus? So there's 14 of 17 here. What is the student enrollment? What is the free and reduced lunch population? Again, that's an indicator of poverty, so that's why we included it. Who's being serviced or who has been serviced previously by the middle school engagement program, and who is being served by communities and schools. This is, we put information for the following school year, as well as included a supply budget here. So you can kind of see what a more detailed budget looks like. There's also below it sort of a goals of the program, metrics of success or that they have been using, and outcomes to date. So we have talked about this information, as since the event, we have tried to give, updated our website and really shared this information. But I wanted to make sure, given last month's conversation, that I could answer any questions that you guys may have. We also thought we would take just a few minutes and listen to Del so that he could share some stories of impact. But I want to, before we go on, be able to answer any questions anyone may have regarding this information. Okay, excellent. So Del, would you want to come up and maybe tell us a few stories about how this makes a difference to students?
Right? Or is it? It's already on. Oh. Hello, everybody. I'm Del Bates. I'm the re-engagement specialist over at Mendive Middle School. And before I go into it, the number one question I get that some of my friends that work in the school district is, how can we get you at our school? And I tell them, I go, well, we only have funding for, we used to only have funding for, I think, the 4 schools, but we're in 5 schools now. And when I first started this program, I was at 2 schools. So I was doing Cold Springs and Clayton. Then a position came open at Shaw and Mendive, so I transferred over there and I started doing the program there. And then I met with some other funders and stuff, and we went over the program. And I thought it was more beneficial for the program to be at one school for the follow-up with the students, because I started seeing the trend. If I wasn't at that school Thursday, Friday, the kids weren't at school either, so they knew my schedule too. So me being at one school actually helped out a lot now this year, since now the kids see me every day, or I can go out and do home visits every day. So I have a youth, he lives in Hooterville, which is outside of Wadsworth, so it's off the reservation land. So I was trying to figure out what was his barriers of coming to school and stuff. He's an 8th grader now, so I had him last year part-time. He was probably at a 40% absentee rate, and he has to get on the bus at 6:15 in the morning, so it's dark. So he has to go up his street, up his dirt road. It's like 3 miles up to the bus stop. So he would hop on the bus, get to school. Once he got to school, he was just not motivated to get there because he was so tired and stuff. So that's when his absentee was so bad. So once I started intervening with him, figuring out his barriers, the support his family's need and stuff like that, it started coming together, because he actually wouldn't talk to anybody. So he is native, but they live off the res. So he doesn't get those supports that he needs. So I tried to help him and his family bridge the gap of maybe moving to stay on res, but they didn't want to. So I said, oh, that's fair enough. So I gave him other options and stuff. We got the bus stop actually closer to him, so he didn't have to go up the dirt road at night or early in the morning when it's still dark out by himself, because his parents weren't helping either. So I gave him the options of walking up to the bus stop with him too. So he started catching the bus on time. He was coming into school. I had him in on a check-in, check-out with me. So as soon as he got to school, he had to come find me. No matter where I was at through the school, he had to come find me before he went to class. So he'll come find me. We'll talk, see how his night went and stuff like that, and go from there. But once I start building this relationship with him, more start coming out, the food, didn't have clothes and whatnot. So I always have extra shoes and clothes that I have, and instead of donating them, I always give them to the kids and stuff. They're still fairly brand new clothes or new shoes and stuff, so I would donate them to them. So that started making them feel better and better, and I'm building that trust within me to help them build that trust with the admin, because there's one thing they didn't like is if they're talking to the principal, they think they're in trouble. I'm like, no, you're not in trouble. It's just they're following up with you. If they talking to you, that means they care about you and want to see you here at the school and stuff. So as the months goes on, he's showing up, going to class, doing his homework. I got him tutoring Tuesday and Thursdays after school. So I figured out a way to get the res van to actually pick him up on Tuesday, Thursday, so because he would take the bus after school. So we bridged that gap to get him home on those days instead of hopping on a bus. So he started doing tutoring Tuesday, Thursdays. He had the buy-in of that. His grades started improving. As it goes on, he drops down to like a 20% absentee. And I just started asking him, like, all right, you've been coming to school a lot, you know, what's changed? And he was like, well, you came into my life and you helped me understand those barriers that I never seen. It was just, I'm just not going to school, whatnot. And we built a good relationship on it. And I told him I've been there, done that. I was in the same situation, but I didn't have supports like he has supports right now. So I go, look, we built a team around you. I got you a tutor. You had me. The principal checking in with you every week. He's giving you a gift card because you're improving and stuff like that. And he's just like, oh, yeah, I do see myself improving. And the funny thing is he got a girlfriend, but the dad wanted to meet him. And he was so scared, like, I don't know what to do. So I said, all right, we're going to role play. I'm the girlfriend's dad and stuff. So how are you going to approach me? You need to have your pants pulled up, your hair out your face. You need to be smelling good, and you got to have a good firm handshake. And that's how presentable you need to be if her dad wants to meet you and stuff. So we went over and role played that and stuff, and went well. He was still shy about it and stuff, but I'm like, hey, you have to present yourself, you know, to give him that feeling that, okay, you are a good person to talk to my daughter and stuff. So with all that off that, he probably wouldn't even got the chance to talk to her. And there's a girl he just let pass up and stuff. So that was actually a motivation of him getting to come to school every day too, because he got to see her, and she actually put him in check too to say, hey, don't be late to class. So so then he had another person on his team and stuff. So it was just me looking at the barriers of him, and so, okay, how can I develop this team around him? I always take it as like a football term or basketball term. All right, we're going to put together a starting five for you. That's going to help you. And so far you have a starting five, and you went from 40% down to 20% absentee.
Thank you so much for sharing those types of stories with us. I think one of the things that we know, every student's different, but sometimes maybe from our purview, we don't know all the intricacies. So it's really important to be able to hear about stepping in and, you know, building a team around our kiddos. They all need it, you know.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say real quick, as an educator, thank you so much, because I'm going to get emotional. This is so important to us, and thank you. We need you so badly. And this is your testimony of sorts is a prime example of how you build these relationships. And it's not a science. It's not always a science. It's an art. It's a praxis, a combination of an art and a science. And yeah, thank you so much. And you can't always quantify that art that you're doing, but just because it's not quantifiable on a piece of paper doesn't mean you aren't working magic. So thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Dale, there's 5 schools that have engagement staff at these schools. So there's 5 at every other school, the school that you're not at. So we have full-time people taking these roles at these other schools.
Yep, so there'll be 4, so 5 including me. So we have Cold Springs, Billinghurst, Shaw, Mendive, and Swope.
And so the need is more engagement officers at these other schools that need this program.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the very need. Yes, because I do explain. I have teachers over or teacher friends at DePoli and Hertz and stuff, and I always explain, oh, this is what I do. So they're, attendance officer. I go, no, that's above me. I'm more in the school building these relationships and stuff, and they're like, well, we need you here.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dell? Or comments? Okay. I do want to clarify that just to make sure, David, you do see that. That's why the extension of the communities and schools part is really important here. Is I do want everyone to know that all of the schools are the focus, but there's different programs that affect different schools. And initially, I feel like that was a little bit confusing for me. So, yeah, just making sure everyone understands that. All right. Well, with that, let's dive into the numbers one more time so we can look at the budget and we can get to the spot. And yeah, you're good, Del, if you want to go back to the audience, or you can stay there. Either way. Honestly, it's lovely having some people join us at these meetings. And we really appreciate your time today. But I just want you guys to see, I updated it from the last time we met, and that is, so if do you want to scroll down to the budget piece? And the only thing that I updated was we had a couple of other gifts come in February, and since we distributed funds last February, I thought it made sense to do a year-over-year comparison. And so where it says pledges for January, I realize that's a small typo. Those have been secured now at this point because it is February. But so if you'll look at our year that we're looking at, school year 24-25, again, this is the same information that we saw last year. Last meeting, excuse me. We grossed about $80,000 on our event for our Evening of Pure Imagination. You can see that we have taken out the cost of the event. And again, we had more people in attendance, which is why it was so much more expensive than the prior year. And then you can see our administration fee that we are recommending, and that will be part of the distribution today. So that's $6,995.37. But for our motion, it's going to be $7,000. And then you can see here, what are the donations that we've gotten in corporate donations, what were again, secured in January that would go towards this effort, and then what was pledged for February. Again, this is really made up of two other gifts that have been supporting our chronic absenteeism efforts. So it's really fantastic. So you see that is jumped up by about $6,000 because that wasn't included last time. And then we're just holding off just a little bit for an event for a principal for a day, because we hope to have that in the future, which would leave our total donations for this effort of $167,459.42. What I'd like to do is make a recommendation to the board that we round those two amounts up. So we would distribute $167,500 to be used for the middle school engagement program, and $7,000 for administrative support to contribute a portion of our administrative staffing for school year 2024 and 2025. I did make note that of this amount, there's been $10,000 that have been restricted specifically for supplies. So on the grid where you see the schools that are being served, there's a double asterisk on a number of like 5 different schools: O'Brien, Desert Skies, Vaughn, Sparks is on there as well, and that's because those have been prioritized as schools of higher need. So of this amount, there will be 10 that will go directly to those middle schools that aren't necessarily being served by the middle school engagement program, but rather the communities and schools engaging aspect. Still same audience, different staffing, but the supplies will go there. So I just want to let everyone know exactly where the funds will go. But with that, I would like to put it out to you guys to make a recommendation, to make a motion. And if anyone needs me to say the words again, I can help with that. But Landon and I have kind of tried to coordinate so he has those, the exact phrasing.
I have a quick question about the 7,000. If for no other reason, for the sake of my minutes, I'm a little confused as to how the 7,000 relates to this agenda item.
Oh, that's a really good call. So we only distribute funds one time after the event, and so this is the time. So as opposed to bringing us back so that we could contribute that over, I'll be writing over checks to the school district for both of those amounts, if that makes sense. One will go to support administrative staffing, our portion, Education Alliance's portion, that the district helps also contribute towards, and then separately the middle school engagement program.
Yeah. Brian Bosman, for the record, I move to approve the $167,000 for distribution of proceeds from an evening of pure imagination through the Education Alliance Caring for Classrooms fundraising efforts, and $7,000 for administrative support for Education Alliance.
I second.
I'm so sorry. Is it possible to just ask a really quick question before we get voting?
Yes.
So are we just making the distribution to the school district writ large, or is it going to be an equal amount for each school?
Yeah, that's a great question, Christine. It will be going to the school district for middle school engagement, meaning that they will have the ability to use it for staff, for teachers' stipends, for school supplies, and that's designated with that program. So it's most likely going to go to Billinghurst and Swope. They have the highest free and reduced lunch population. However, if they receive funding that lands before the end of the school year, this gives them the flexibility to put it at the other schools. So that's why it's going to go over for middle school engagement. It will be earmarked and restricted for that. But again, that is going to be staffing, right? Because we know that without the relationships, it doesn't make a difference. Sometimes teachers are leading clubs. Sometimes the activities, they need those supplies. Sometimes it's transportation for something like an incentive field trip. So those are the specific things that will be written out as we distribute that over.
And can I just chime in real quick? Michelle Anderson for the record. The superintendent has been working obviously with Dr. Paul Lamarca, who's out in the audience, and meeting obviously with community members, and this is what the district has identified as being the biggest need. So knowing that and knowing that's what the district kind of narrowed it down to, I think is important to know, because a whole host of things were looked at, and this was where it was going to be the most impactful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for those comments. I think just in the spirit of some of our board colleagues' questions at the last meeting, I think this provides a significant amount of clarity when it comes to the strategic use of the funds and being able to really zero in on Billinghurst and Swope, knowing that some of that could change, but really being able to narrow into Billinghurst and Swope to see the impacts that are made at those two schools in particular, which I think was part of the question from the last meeting, and it sounds like that's been answered beautifully, which is fantastic. And also, I just wanted to say thank you, Sarah, for including in the board packet some of those particular metrics that the district is using to measure progress. That is also significantly helpful.
And I just want to say thank you to the board. Going forward, I'll do my best to make sure that you have the level of visibility into it. I really do appreciate all those questions and your willingness to meet again, in short order, so that we can get this funds to the solutions that they need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So just if there are any more questions there, I'll go back to Brian's motion. I think he was the one who made that initial motion of $167,500 for middle school engagement, and then that $7,000 for administrative support for a portion of administrative staffing for school year 2024-2025. Brian, did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Manny, were you the one who seconded that, or was there someone else from that side of the room? I can't.
Yes.
That was okay. So it looks like we have a motion and then a second. Any more discussion points before we make the vote? Hearing none, we'll take that vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any oppositions? Hearing none. All right. Motion passes. I'm excited that money can go in that way, and thank you to Dell for coming in. Dr. Lamarca, I know you're somewhere in there. I'm sorry I can't see you in person, but it's a lot of money, and definitely will make that impact, especially at those schools. Lauren, I see you have your hand up, or Ralph.
It's me. I don't know. I just thinking of the agenda. Is there room for like an after discussion of the discussion, not to like impede anything with voting, but just some comments that I have kind of moving forward. Is that allowed? I'm pretty sure it is, but I just want to make sure.
I think so. I'm maybe Michelle can better answer that. I think
But
so.
we haven't addressed another agenda item yet, so I think we can still like
We can still have a post
it's not
discussion.
to impede
Yeah,
voting.
okay.
It's nothing for voting. It's just kind of like after comments or follow up.
Sure.
Yeah. So just kind of wait. It's okay, right, Michelle? I see you kind of.
Yeah,
on
I
your
just didn't
mic.
hear the question. I was talking to Sarah about something else. So repeat the question.
No worries. No, I haven't asked her. I just wanted to make sure that I was allowed to provide a comment on this as we move forward, but nothing impeding voting or anything like that. We're good. We're here. But moving forward, just for my sanity, we're going to be supporting middle schools and focused on that as we continue, or is this like, okay, we're going to do middle schools this year and maybe next year there might be a different issue at hand? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, is this something we're going to keep leaning on, or do we, pivot based on those needs moving forward? Like maybe it's high school next year. I sure hope not. But
So,
like
so
maybe
Lauren,
that changes.
because
So
it
what
does
that look
get
like?
off topic with that we're voting specifically on this and not the future, we have to keep the scope very limited in this. I think that could be a
That's why I
discussion.
asked.
Yep, no, that's perfect. But yeah, we've got to limit it to what the agenda says.
Okay, understood.
And I will follow up in email specifically about your question because it's a very good one, and I want to make sure everyone on the board knows.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, Lauren. And maybe before we move on from this item, if Dr. LaMarca is still in the room, maybe a quick couple of words or something from the podium about what you're able to do with this money, Dr. LaMarca, if you're willing and able.
I am, and I'm here. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul LaMarca, Chief Student Services Officer. First, thank you so much. We've been working really hard. Sarah has been working very hard. When we heard about your event and its focus, we were very excited. You may know Mr. Kazmierski has been instrumental in the community, working with a group of people to try to support the district efforts. It's been very difficult, and we're dealing with still problems stemming from the pandemic. Chronic absenteeism was a problem prior to that, but nowhere near where it is now. It was great to listen to Dell, and I think what you kind of heard, and that was a great story. Part of what we like to say is the most important thing is a trusted adult within the building. And too many of our students don't have a trusted adult, at least from their perspective. And Dell provides some of that. And importantly, he helps teachers and others within the school develop those relationships because he can't do it alone. If you look at our numbers, there's too many kids at Mendive for Dell to be able to have that meaningful relationship with every student. But he does a great job, and that's what we're trying to do. There's many different efforts, and I know Michelle kind of harnessed us in terms of the agenda item, but middle school is a focus for a while. This effort with the community task force is really a 3 to 5 year effort. It takes time. It's going to take us several years to really change the trajectory for some of our students. So again, I'm happy to answer questions. I don't think you have any. I just want to say how much I appreciate you and what you do, your dedication and time, and thank you for this. Is going to make a difference in the lives of kids.
Thank you, Dr. LaMarca. That's great. We're excited to do it. We're excited to do it again, and thank you for the partnership and thank you for the impact. It's a fantastic thing. So. Any other comments before we move on to some of our closing items here? I don't want to take anybody's space here. All right. Hearing none, we can move on to our next item, which would be public comment. Brittany, any public comment?
None at this time.
None at this time. Our next meeting, agenda item 302, not for a little bit, about 2 months out, April 21st, 2025. Is that going to be at the school district headquarters, Sarah?
Yes, same place. Same time-ish.
Sweet. Same time-ish, same place-ish. We love it. All right. If there's no more comments or anything like that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Time is 4:36. Thank you for taking a half hour of your Monday afternoon to get this done, and the impact, I'm sure, will be significant for everyone. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Landon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. And Lauren, if you want to stay on, no.